A small, dirty hand slammed against the restaurant window. Inside, billionaire James Caldwell froze mid-sentence, his $3,000 wine glass suspended in the air. Around him, 3 investors continued debating quarterly projections, their voices blending into meaningless noise. But James couldn't hear them anymore. Outside, pressed against the glass of Aurelio's, Seattle's most exclusive restaurant, was a little girl, maybe 7 years old, hollow cheeks, eyes that had seen things no child should see. Her lips were moving, forming words he couldn't hear through the barrier separating his world from hers. He leaned forward, trying to read her lips. "If I don't eat tonight." His heart started hammering. "Will I wake up tomorrow?" The question hit him like a physical blow. His $75 steak sat barely touched. The wine cost more than most families spent on groceries in a month, and this child was asking him something that made all of it feel obscene. Because standing there in his $10,000 suit, surrounded by people laughing about profit margins, James Caldwell realized something that shattered him. He didn't know the answer. If you want to know what he did next, hit that like button right now, because what happens in the next 40 minutes will absolutely wreck you. James stood abruptly, his chair scraped against polished marble. The investors looked up, confused. "Excuse me," he said, already moving. "I need to step outside." The November air hit him like a slap. Seattle's winter had arrived early, bringing biting wind that swept down from the sound. He rounded the corner to where the girl had been standing and stopped dead. She wasn't alone. Behind her, tucked between the wall and an overflowing dumpster, was another child, smaller, a boy, maybe 5, wrapped in newspaper beneath a torn blanket. His lips were blue. His chest rose and fell in shallow, labored breaths. The girl straightened when she saw James, her body instinctively placing itself between him and the boy, shielding, protecting, a 7-year-old human barrier. Up close, James could see the grime under her fingernails, jeans held together with safety pins, the desperate determination in features far too young to carry such weight. She was shivering violently, but she held her ground. "Please," she said, her voice barely a whisper but steady. "I need to know. If we don't eat tonight, will we wake up tomorrow? Because my brother, he's sick, and I don't know anymore, and I'm scared." James opened his mouth, then closed it. The question was so direct, so devastatingly honest, that every corporate response he'd ever crafted dissolved. He looked at the boy, at the fever flush on pale cheeks, at the way his small body shook even unconscious. He realized with horrifying clarity. He genuinely didn't know if this child would wake up tomorrow. "How long?" James asked, kneeling on cold concrete. "How long since you've eaten?" The girl's defiance wavered. 3 days, maybe 4. Lucas had some crackers yesterday from a trash can, but they were still wrapped. I made him eat them all. "And you? I'm older. I can wait longer." Something in James's chest cracked open. He thought of the meal he'd abandoned, the wine that cost more than this child's weight in food. He felt sick. "What's your name?" "Maya. That's Lucas. He's my brother. I take care of him." "Maya, I'm James. We need to get Lucas to a hospital right now. His breathing isn't right. Can you trust me?" Her eyes narrowed, years of hard lessons flickering across her young face. "Why would you help us?" "Because you asked me something I couldn't answer," James said. "And that's never happened before. Now please, let me help your brother." She studied his face, measuring sincerity against bitter experience. Finally, she nodded. 20 minutes later, they were in Seattle General's emergency room. James had called ahead, used his name, and unlimited payment guarantees. Now doctors swarmed around Lucas, their faces growing graver with each passing second. "Mr. Caldwell." The attending physician pulled him aside. "Severe pneumonia, advanced malnutrition, dehydration. He's been fighting this infection for at least a week. His organs are starting to shut down. James felt the floor tilt. What are you saying? 3 more hours, maybe less. You brought them just in time. 3 hours. Lucas had been 3 hours from death when his sister pressed her hand against that window, and James had been inside drinking wine worth more than their lives. A nurse brought Maya food. Hospital food. Bland but abundant. Maya stared at it like a feast, but she didn't touch it. Maya, you need to eat, James said gently. She shook her head, eyes locked on Lucas. Not until I know he's okay. The doctors say he'll be fine, but he needs you strong too. I'm already strong. James felt that crack widen. How about you eat half now? Save the rest for Lucas when he wakes up. She considered this with the weight of decision-making no 7-year-old should bear. Finally, she nodded. She picked up the sandwich carefully, as if it might vanish, and ate with controlled desperation, someone who'd learned not to make herself sick eating too fast after long hunger. When half was gone, she stopped, wrapped the rest in napkins. Then exhaustion crashed over her, but she jerked herself awake, hand tightening on Lucas's. I've got him, James said. I'll stay right here. You can sleep. You promise? I promise. She curled up in the chair, hand still holding Lucas's, and within minutes was asleep. James kept his word, watching monitors track Lucas's improvement. Nurses came and went. The night stretched on. He canceled morning meetings, ignored investor calls. For the first time in his adult life, something mattered more than the next deal. It was 2 a.m. when he found Maya awake again, standing beside Lucas's bed, her hand hovering over his chest, watching, counting breaths like precious coins. I always check, she whispered, every night, wherever we were, to make sure he's still breathing, because sometimes people stop breathing. Sometimes they go to sleep and don't wake up, and you don't know until morning, and then it's too late. The matter-of-fact way she said it broke something in James. How long have you been taking care of him alone? Since Mama died. 6 months, maybe. Our father Derek stayed for 2 weeks after, but then he left. Said he couldn't handle it. So it's just been us. No other family? Maya shrugged, a gesture containing universes of loss. Mama used to talk about her mother, our grandmother, but they fought before we were born. I don't know where she is. I don't know a lot of things. Her voice cracked. You know enough, James said. You kept Lucas alive. You knew when to ask for help. Those are the things that matter. She looked at him with 2 old eyes. Why are you being nice to us? People don't do things for free. It was the second impossibly direct question. James chose honesty. When I was not much older than you, I lost my parents. Car accident. One day I had a home, next day I was in the system. Some people were kind, most weren't. But the kind ones didn't want anything. They just helped. It took me a long time to remember that. You reminded me. Maya studied his face for lies. Whatever she saw satisfied her. She returned to her vigil beside Lucas's bed. When morning came, Lucas's fever broke. He opened his eyes as sunlight filtered through blinds. Maya, where are we? Safe, she said. And for the first time since James met her, she smiled. We're safe, Lucas. The social worker arrived 2 hours later. Patricia Chen had the worn expression of someone who'd seen too much tragedy with too few resources. She interviewed Maya gently, then delivered her assessment. The system is overwhelmed, Patricia told James in the hallway. I have 2 options, a group home at overcapacity or separate foster homes. Separate them? James's jaw tightened. After everything they've been through, I don't want to, but I work with what's available, and what's available isn't good. I have 300 kids on my caseload. These 2 will be in the system, and the system will do what it always does. Barely enough. James looked through the window at Maya holding Lucas's hand. He thought of his penthouse, 2,200 square feet of carefully curated emptiness. He thought of guest rooms never used, silence filling every corner. He thought of that question he still couldn't answer with certainty. The words came out before his mind could stop them. What if I took temporary custody? Patricia's eyebrows rose. You, Mr. Caldwell, these children have trauma. They'll need therapy, patience, consistency. This isn't like business. You can't delegate this. I understand. But the system you're describing sounds like different suffering. Give me 30 days. Do your checks. But give me a chance to do better than barely enough. Patricia weighed his words. 30 days. But I'll be watching. These kids deserve someone who shows up, not someone who makes grand gestures then disappears. I know, James said. The first week was awkward. His penthouse felt like a museum to Maya and Lucas. They moved carefully, afraid to touch anything, afraid to matter too much. Meals were challenging. James hired a chef, but Maya approached each dish with suspicion, trying to eat as little as possible to not be a burden. Lucas broke through on the third morning. The chef made chocolate chip pancakes. Lucas took one bite, and his face lit up. Maya, try this. Watching her brother's joy, Maya allowed herself to enjoy the food. James realized he had no idea how to talk to children. How are you finding the accommodations? He asked one morning. Maya stared blankly until he rephrased. Do you like your room? It's nice, too nice. We're going to mess it up. That's what rooms are for, to be lived in. But she didn't believe him. Not yet. The breakthrough came from his executive assistant. Elena Rodriguez had been with him 8 years, always professional. But when she saw Maya sitting rigid on the couch, something shifted. You know what? Elena sat beside Maya. When I first started working for Mr. Caldwell, I was terrified of this apartment too. 3 months afraid I'd break something expensive. Maya looked interested. Really? Really. Then I realized stuff is just stuff. It can be replaced. But you? You're irreplaceable. You're worth more than every fancy thing in this building. Don't make yourself small for a space. Make the space adjust to you. It landed like revelation. That afternoon, Maya asked to rearrange her room. The next day, Lucas spilled juice and burst into tears, but James just cleaned it up. Accidents happen. That's why they invented carpet cleaner. Slowly, they began inhabiting the space, instead of existing in it. But nights were hardest. Lucas had nightmares that left him screaming. Only Maya could calm him, singing softly until he slept again. One night, James found Maya on the floor outside Lucas's room, exhausted. You don't have to sleep here, James said, sliding down beside her. I can sit with him. He needs me. But you need rest too. Being strong doesn't mean doing everything alone. Sometimes the strongest thing is letting someone help. She looked at him. Can I trust you? I hired a child psychologist, James continued. Dr. Sharma. She's really good at helping kids who've been through hard things. Would you try? For me? The "for me" did it. Maya nodded. Dr. Sharma started coming twice weekly. Within 3 sessions, she'd gotten further than James had in 2 weeks. After one session, she pulled him aside. Maya's been parentified. She's had to be the adult so long she doesn't remember how to be a child. She doesn't trust you'll keep Lucas safe because adults leave. They fail. She's waiting for you to do the same. How do I show her I won't? Keep showing up. Every day. Boring reliability is what she needs. Prove it with presence. James restructured his life around them. Worked from home more. Learned to cook simple meals. Established routines. Slowly, they began to heal. It was 3 weeks into custody when James made the discovery that changed everything. Helping Maya clean her backpack, he found a worn journal with a faded flower on the cover. That's Mama's, Maya said reverently. I keep it safe. Inside were entries about her children, her struggles, her hopes. Near the end, one entry made James's heart stop. If anything happens to me, take them to my mother. Eleanor Winters, 847 Maple Street, Redwood Falls, Oregon. We fought before the twins were born, and I was too proud to reach out. But she loves these children, even though she's never met them. She'll keep them safe. Please. Maya, did you know your mother wanted you to go to your grandmother? Maya's eyes widened. We have a grandmother. Where is she? Oregon. Redwood Falls. We can find her. Maya's composure shattered. She burst into tears. I thought we had no one. There's really someone? Yes. And we're going to find her. The search took 2 days. Eleanor had been searching for them for 8 months, hiring investigators, filing missing persons reports. When James called, she broke down crying. She was on the next flight to Seattle. The reunion was everything films try to capture but rarely achieve. Eleanor knelt to their level, hands shaking as she held them for the first time. You look just like your mother, she whispered to Maya. I'm so sorry I wasn't there. I've been looking everywhere. We didn't know how to find you, Maya cried, throwing her arms around her. I've found you now, and I'm never letting go. James watched, filled with satisfaction deeper than any business deal. But the next morning, Elena knocked with an expression that made his stomach drop. There's someone here. He says he's the children's father. Maya appeared like she'd materialized from nightmare, all color drained from her face. No, he can't be here. We have to run. We're not running, James said firmly. We're going to handle this. Derek Calloway was everything James imagined, and worse. Mid-30s, manufactured charm, false confidence. Mr. Caldwell, thanks for taking care of my kids. But I'm back now, got myself together, ready to be the father they need. So if you could just let me take them home. James kept his arms crossed. Where were you 3 weeks ago when they were starving? Personal issues. But I've gotten help. Look, they're my kids, biologically, legally, and I want them back. They don't want to go with you. They're children. They don't know what they want. But I'm their father, and the law is on my side. We can do this easy or in court. Maya had appeared. When she saw Derek, terror flooded her face. No, she whispered. Derek softened his expression artificially. Maya, sweetheart, Daddy's here. You're coming home. You're not my dad, Maya said, voice shaking but fierce. Dads don't leave their kids to freeze. You left us. You wanted us to die. That's not true. I was sick, but I'm better now. James stepped between them. You need to leave, now. I'll be back. With police. With lawyers. You can't keep them from me. They're mine. After he left, Maya frantically packed her backpack. We have to run before he comes back. Maya, stop. James knelt beside her. We're not running. We're going to fight. He'll take us. The law is on his side. The law is more complicated. I'm getting the best family lawyer in the state. We're going to show a judge exactly what kind of man he is. What if it's not enough? James pulled her into a hug. Then I'll keep fighting. I promise you, Maya. I won't let him take you. The legal battle was unlike anything James had navigated. He hired Rebecca Alvarez, brilliant and compassionate, who'd never lost a custody case where children's welfare was genuinely at stake. The biological father has rights that supersede temporary custody, Rebecca explained. We need to prove he's unfit or establish adoption pathways. Both require time we don't have. James hired the best investigator in Seattle. What they uncovered was damning. Gambling debts totaling $80,000, 2 DUIs, restraining order violations, contact with a London art dealer interested in child prodigies. Derek hadn't wanted his children back. He wanted access to James's wealth and ways to profit from the children's talents. This is good but circumstantial, Rebecca said. We need something more definitive. Eleanor provided it. She'd contacted her daughter's old friends, uncovering Derek's history of abuse toward their mother, police calls, documented incidents, a restraining order that had been active when their mother died. He violated that order by contacting the children, Rebecca explained. That gives leverage. It establishes a pattern any judge will take seriously. The court date was set for 6 weeks out. Derek was granted supervised visitation despite Rebecca's protests. The visit was excruciating. Derek brought expensive toys, made digs about James, promised trips and games, but never asked about school or therapy or how they actually were. Lucas finally snapped. "I don't want your toys. I want to go home. With James." Derek's mask shattered. "He's not your father. I am, and you will show respect." The shift in tone was so sudden Lucas flinched. Maya immediately moved in front of her brother, and James saw it. Both children recognized warning signs, had seen this before. The social worker ended the visit early. In the car, Lucas burst into tears. "Please don't make us go back. Please, Dad." The word landed like thunder. Lucas had never called him that before. "I'm going to fight for you," James said, voice breaking, "with everything I have." 2 weeks before the hearing, Rebecca suggested presenting Lucas's drawings from therapy. James brought out the portfolio. Early drawings were dark, chaotic, figures with no faces, houses with locked doors, storms filling pages, a small figure alone in every picture. Recent drawings were different, full of color and light. Pictures of the penthouse with all of them together, pictures of parks and kitchens. And in every picture, the small figure wasn't alone anymore. It was holding hands, smiling. "These are powerful," Rebecca said. "Visual proof of healing. We'll present them." The night before the hearing, James found Maya on the balcony at 2 a.m. "Can't sleep either?" he asked. She shook her head. They sat together in darkness. Finally, Maya spoke. "I remember the last thing Mama said. Be good. Take care of your brother. Remember I love you." Then she walked out, and I never saw her awake again. That's heavy to carry. It made me think love meant leaving. Everyone who loved us left. I thought maybe love was just another word for goodbye. And now I think maybe love is staying, even when it's hard, even when you don't have to. She looked up. "You stayed, James. You keep staying. I'm not going anywhere. Tomorrow, whatever happens, I'll still be here. Even if we have to go, even then, I'll visit, I'll call, I'll fight until you come home. Because this is your home, Maya. You and Lucas. This is where you belong." Maya leaned against him. They sat until dawn broke over the city. The courtroom was smaller than expected, fluorescent lighting too bright. Judge Sarah Morrison entered, steel-gray hair, eyes that saw through pretense. She'd reviewed all materials: Dr. Sharma's assessment, the investigator's report, Lucas's drawings, police records. Derek's lawyer painted him as a grieving man who'd made mistakes but sought help. "These children have a right to be with their biological parent. Mr. Caldwell is a stranger. Biology matters. Family law protects that bond." Rebecca laid out Derek's history methodically. Gambling debts, DUIs, restraining orders, suspicious timing, contact with art dealers. "Mr. Calloway isn't here because of paternal feelings. He sees opportunity. His interest is what they can provide him, not their welfare." Judge Morrison asked to see Lucas's drawings. Rebecca presented them chronologically. "These first 3, first week. See the chaos, fear, darkness. These at 3 weeks. Notice light emerging, faces, hope. These final ones last week." The most recent showed a house with a garden, 4 people holding hands. Above them, a woman with wings. At the bottom, "My family." The courtroom was silent. "Dr. Sharma's assessment indicates significant trauma and active healing," Judge Morrison said. "Mr. Caldwell has demonstrated genuine commitment and created stable, nurturing environment. The children have expressed repeatedly, consistently, fear of returning to Mr. Calloway. Not reluctance, fear." Derek's lawyer interjected. "Children resist change, Your Honor. Once back with their father, fears will subside. Perhaps. Or perhaps those fears are rooted in experiences Mr. Calloway hasn't addressed. Mr. Calloway, why should I grant you custody?" Derek stood, charm stuttering. Because they're mine. I'm their father. I love them. Do you? Judge Morrison's question was sharp. You had minimal contact before their mother's death. You abandoned them after her accident, made no effort to locate them for months. You reappeared after they came into a wealthy man's care and after contacting an art dealer. That doesn't strike me as love. That strikes me as opportunism. Silence. She turned to James. Mr. Caldwell, you've made compelling case against Mr. Calloway. But what assurance do I have this isn't temporary altruism that'll fade when novelty wears off? James stood. Your Honor, I can't promise I'll be perfect. I'm learning, making mistakes daily. But I can promise I'll show up. Every morning, every night, every school event, doctor's appointment, nightmare, and triumph. I've restructured my entire life around these children, because they matter more than anything. My business will survive with less attention, but Maya and Lucas need someone who'll be there, consistently, permanently. I want to be that person, not because I'm trying to save them, but because they've already saved me. Judge Morrison studied him, looked at the drawings, at the evidence. I'm taking a 30-minute recess to review materials, then I'll deliver my ruling. Those 30 minutes were the longest of James's life. When they returned, Judge Morrison's expression revealed nothing. This case requires balancing legal rights with best interests of children. Mr. Calloway, biological parents have protections, but those protections aren't absolute when there's evidence of past harm and current unsuitability. The evidence shows disturbing patterns, neglect, restraining order violations, financial instability, gambling debts, history of abuse, evidence of attempting to profit from these children rather than protect them. Moreover, the children have expressed through multiple channels genuine fear of returning to your care. Fear corroborated by professional assessment. I cannot place vulnerable children where they feel unsafe. Mr. Caldwell, your commitment appears genuine. Assessments support that these children are healing and thriving. Therefore, I am terminating Derek Calloway's parental rights effective immediately. I am granting full legal custody of Maya, Rebecca Thompson, and Lucas James Thompson to James Edward Caldwell, with regular reviews for 2 years. Additionally, I'm granting Mrs. Eleanor Winters joint guardianship status. Mr. Calloway, you may appeal. However, I'm issuing a restraining order barring contact with these children for no less than 5 years. Violate this. Face criminal charges. Do you understand? Derek shot up, face purple. You can't, I have rights. You had rights. You forfeited them. This hearing is concluded. They'd won. Full custody. Permanent. The children were his. Maya ran across the courtroom and threw her arms around him. Lucas right behind. Then Eleanor. They stood holding each other, crying and laughing. We can stay? Maya asked. Really stay? Forever? Forever, James confirmed. You're mine now. Legally. Officially. Forever. We're a family. We're a family. The realest family there is. 6 months later, spring had arrived in Seattle. The penthouse had transformed into a real home. Maya's artwork covered walls. Lucas's toys scattered the floor. Photographs documented their journey. James had officially adopted both children. Judge Morrison had presided, telling him afterward, "This is why I do this job. You're a good man, Mr. Caldwell." "I'm the lucky one," James replied. Eleanor had relocated permanently. Apartment 3 floors down. Constant presence in their lives. She and James formed effective co-parenting partnership. Dr. Sharma reduced visits to monthly. Maya had joined art club, made real friends. Lucas's nightmares had stopped. They were healing. One Saturday afternoon, James took them to Aurelio's. They sat at a table by the windows where everything began. They ate without fear or guilt. As they finished dessert, Maya suddenly grabbed James's arm. Look, outside, pressed against the glass just as she'd been 6 months earlier, was a young boy, maybe 9. Thin face, hollow eyes, Maya and Lucas exchanged a glance. Then Lucas turned to James. "Can we help him, Dad?" James looked at his children, at their compassion born from suffering, at their instinct to reach out. "What do you think we should do?" "What you did for us," Maya said, standing. "We go out there. We ask if he's okay. We help." So they did. Together, they went outside. The boy backed away instinctively, used to being chased off. James crouched down. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" The boy's story was different but heartbreakingly similar. James made calls, used his resources, ensured the boy got to a safe place with people who actually cared. In the car afterward, Maya asked the question haunting her since that first night. "You could answer now, couldn't you?" if someone asked. "If I don't eat tonight, will I wake up tomorrow?" James met her eyes in the rearview mirror. Yes, you will, because someone will make sure you do. That's what people who love you do. They make sure you wake up tomorrow and every day after. It was simple, but it carried everything they'd been through. Maya nodded, satisfied. Then she said something that made James have to pull over, vision blurring. "That's the thing about being saved. It doesn't end with you. It moves through you. You got saved once. You saved us. Now we save someone else. That's how it works, right?" "Yes," James said, voice breaking. "That's exactly how it works." Then Lucas, ever practical. "Can we go home? Eleanor's teaching us to make Mama's chocolate chip cookies." "Yeah," James said, pulling back into traffic. "Let's go home." Sometimes the most profound changes arrive not through planning but through unexpected interruptions. A small hand on a window, a question we cannot answer, a choice to stop when it would be easier to look away. James Caldwell's life had been meticulously structured, successful by every measure, wealthy beyond imagination, but empty in ways he hadn't recognized until a 7-year-old asked him a question that exposed the hollowness at the center of his existence. "If I don't eat tonight, will I wake up tomorrow?" It wasn't just about food. It was about whether anyone cared enough to ensure that tomorrow existed at all, whether she mattered enough for someone to intervene. And James, in his $10,000 suit, hadn't been able to answer. Maya and Lucas didn't just need him. He needed them. They taught him that wealth means nothing without connection, that success is meaningless without love, that the truest measure of a life is not what you accumulate, but what you give away. In our modern world, we're surrounded by opportunities to help. They don't always look like children at windows. Sometimes it's a coworker struggling silently, a neighbor isolated, a friend whose calls we've been too busy to return. The challenge isn't recognizing dramatic cries for help. It's seeing the quiet ones, the subtle signals that someone is drowning in plain sight, and then choosing to act. Here's the uncomfortable truth. We turn away more often than we turn toward. We tell ourselves we're too busy, too unprepared. It's not our responsibility. Someone else will help. We build walls around comfortable lives and convince ourselves they're protection when they're often just excuses for indifference. James could have driven past, could have sent money from a distance, could have helped temporarily, then returned to his controlled existence. Instead, he chose disruption, the messy, complicated, exhausting work of showing up day after day, even when scared, even when it would have been easier to send them into a system that would have processed them efficiently and destroyed them slowly. That choice transformed everyone. Maya and Lucas found safety, love, healing. James found purpose. Together they built something none could have created alone. A family defined not by biology but by commitment. So let me ask you, where in your life are you being called to show up? What questions are you avoiding because they might require you to change? Who needs you to be the person who stays when it would be easier to walk away? These questions don't always come with clear answers, but they demand response. They demand we examine whether we're living with open hands or clenched fists, whether we're building bridges or walls. whether we measure our lives by what we keep or what we give away. James learned that, "If I don't eat tonight, will I wake up tomorrow?" was never just about food. It was about safety, stability, mattering enough that someone would ensure your survival. His answer, given not in words but in actions sustained over years, was a resounding yes. What will your answer be? If this story has moved you, if it's reminded you that we all have power to change someone's trajectory, I invite you to carry that feeling forward. Subscribe to this channel for more stories that challenge us to live with greater courage and compassion. Leave a comment sharing a time when someone showed up for you, or when you showed up for someone else. Those stories create a tapestry of hope, reminding us we're not alone in trying to be better. And share this with someone who might need to hear it. Someone struggling with whether to reach out, whether to help, whether to let someone in. Someone who needs a reminder that opening the gate doesn't diminish us, it expands us. Your support gives us the motivation to keep bringing stories that touch the heart and spark the courage to act. Because in the end, we're all just one moment, one choice, one outstretched hand away from being the person who changes everything. The question is being asked all around us, by the lonely, by the struggling, by the invisible people we pass without seeing. What will you answer? How will you show up? Who will you save?